My name's Theresa Gooby. I'm an artist living in Beacon, New York, and my studio is in Newburgh, New York. So welcome to my studio. I make drawings, I do some printmaking, I do a little painting, and I like to mix all of those things up together. My work has a digital component to it as well, where I do a little photoshopping to my images before I turn them into prints and drawings. My work explores my relationship with nostalgia. I like to go through old magazines and old ephemera like sewing patterns, and I collect the illustrations that I find in these magazines and things. And then I appropriate these old images and then I kind of recontextualize them to talk about current day issues. I talk a lot about women's issues. When it comes to nostalgia, I'm really interested in this disconnect between what we think and what we know about the past, because humans have a history of forgetting. We like to think about the past as this simpler time when it really wasn't that simple for women. Women were expected to get married and have children and be housewives, and that one-size-fit-all narrative didn't really apply to a lot of women, especially if they wanted to have careers. Women who had jobs and then got married were often fired from their jobs, which is exactly what happened to my mom. The Gun Girls are these pieces where I found these images, these illustrations of women. A lot of them were taken from sewing patterns. And I did some printmaking onto old book covers. I would draw on them, I colored them in with colored pencils, and then I coated these pieces in caustic. And then I put a little gold gun in each of these women's hands. The guns are more about putting power into the perspective of a woman who is meant to be a fashion model. She's meant to be looked at and admired, but she doesn't really have any kind of action. She's very passive. And so by putting the gun in her hand, it really changes the narrative. Each of these pieces has a very long title. The title of each piece is kind of a story about some kind of indignity or humiliation that a person has had to go through, and these are actual stories. I've got a series called Pattern Animals. I've taken images that I've pulled off of sewing patterns, and I've taken these illustrations of animals and I've swapped out their heads or other parts of their body to kind of create these hybrid creatures. The animals that I've kind of blended into the woman's body are things like chick or dog or horsey, foxy, bunny, all these things that women are sort of casually just called. The only equivalent for men seems to be with pigs, so I have one set of male pigs in leisure suits.